It
Yeah.
was Ray Dykes was fantastic to work with. Gary Sanderson was fantastic to work with. We had Brother Curl, Lloyd Curl was, I think, Young Men's president, and I think Marty Lutz was Elders Quorum president. We were just loaded with people. Like, it was phenomenal, the people that we had to work with, and they all did incredibly well. And I was just very impressed with all of them in their ability to grow in the colonies and become very stalwart and very staunch in what they were doing, and they knew what they needed to do, and they did it. So it worked very well.
Alan was such a super guy, and I met my twin brother there. I didn't know I had one.
Oh.
Gary Burgart, born on the same day, same year,
Wow.
but 11,533 kilometers apart. Because his best advice ever was, and he'd probably kill me for this, he said, look, you can't always get permission. Just go ahead and do it with the Spirit and seek forgiveness afterwards. I thought that was great advice to give a bishop. Eden Engen, Kerry Newton, Cadillac, Robert Cadillac.
Yeah.
Sanderson, Gary Sanderson.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a counselor at one stage.
Okay.
Yeah, I had good men.
Excellent.
Every bishop needs good men and women around them. Had some remarkable sisters. I remember one when I was on with Alan, we were being asked by primary to get a new primary teacher for CTR A's or something. That was about the first class out of nursery.
Mhm.
And we were having a bit of difficulty because they wanted Sister Olson, and so did Relief Society, and the young women's had their eye on her. And so Sister Lorraine Knudsen corralled me in the hallway one day, said, have you guys actually got the Spirit? I said, what? We know that we should have this sister. Why don't you get that inspiration? I said, well, I'll talk it over with the bishop, but there are 2 other organizations that are chasing the same woman, so I'll get back to you. The next Sunday, when they hadn't heard, I was walking around just as the split came from Sacrament to go to Sunday school and primary, and Sister Knudsen grabbed me and said, we want you to teach CTRAs. Threw me in the room and closed the door. There were about 5 or 6 little kids there, and they were climbing the walls and swinging from the ceiling. And I used my vast teaching skills for about 1 minute, and I was pulling my hair out. I couldn't get them to face the right way, pay attention, do anything. So needless to say, the bishopric had the inspiration, and they got their teacher the next week. That's where the saying came, the Lord moves in mysterious ways. And Mel Gardinetti comes to mind. Just had some wonderful sisters that you could rely on, and knew that you're in good hands, and you could assign them things and they'd do them. And it was great.
Well, first of all, I had never served in the bishopric before. So sometimes you get called as a counselor, you learn the job somewhat, and then you get called as a bishop. So I had not. So you start, and there's a big learning curve. And of course, I had the best counselors. And of course, as a bishop, it's very demanding, it's challenging, but extremely rewarding. And I know, of course, that Eden Engen now is the stake president, I believe, in one of the stakes. So that's and I've kept in contact with him as well. And of course, your father, of course, who I refer to as my best friend next to my immediate family. And I remember having great conversation with him, deep conversation, most of the time about the gospel principles, and in life in general. And of course, I remember him and Myrna, and of course, Sylvia and I, we started vacationing in Mexico. We were doing that every year. So there's a lot of great memories there. Then later on, also serving as my counselor was Alberto De Feo, and then Jim Bester. And then there were, I think there was a question about other leaders. I remember Karen Davis was a Relief Society president, I'm pretty sure, and she was exceptional, and made my job a lot easier. And if you have a great Relief Society president, your job as a bishop, it's a lot easy.
Your mother, Myrna, was my Relief Society president, and I have fond, strong memories of her service and her support of me and her compassion and all these other good things. As a Relief Society president, I don't think I'm not sure how I would have done any good with it without her. And I still remember how I felt about that. And she was very good at the calling, concerned about the sisters, and never once hesitated when she had to tell me about somebody in need, or vice versa, if I had to tell her about somebody that needed her help. She was always there, always. I made her a little model hand cart, and I gave that to her. I believe I gave that to her when they exchanged boundaries, because I wanted her to have some indication of my appreciation of her.
Yeah.
She actually is the strongest memory I have of serving as a bishop in Surrey Third Ward.
Surrey Third Ward is going to be always my home ward. I really feel that. I feel so at home. I feel so at ease. It just there's something special about Surrey Third Ward. That's definitely true. And it's hard when you ask to mention some names, because you want to mention everyone. For pure disclosure here, everyone there made a difference some way or the other. Some names that come to mind, mostly, a few people that served with me in the bishopric. So Janus Prasad, an amazing man. Don't need to say anything there. Brother McGonigal, another one. So after Brother Verhagen and Brother McAdam, I had Janus and McGonigal. So Janus was that powerhouse, spiritual powerhouse, and McGonigal was a scriptorian by the book, policies and procedures. And I loved it because I needed all that. So those two men were amazing. And we made a good bishopric group there. Sister Tambry served with me as a Relief Society president. She was so concerned. She was just, it's either perfect or not, or we're not going to do this. So I loved it. She did a great job. But I want to give credit to Brother Tambry. He was the young men's president back then. And the guy was full of ideas. I mean, he came to me and says, I want to take these guys to the Souk pothole. Let's go to Squamish and do whatever, skydiving. Hey, he had all these amazing ideas. He was thinking outside of the box.
Yeah, and so, I didn't have all the workload of serving and all of that. I give credit to the Relief Society presidents and all the young women, primary, elders quorum, high priests, group leaders, and then my counselors, which was Brother Harrington, Ron Harrington. It was so much fun. He's a doer,
Yeah.
That guy, he takes on, he gets it done, and he gets it done right. He was with me for the whole time. Brother Vince started as in the beginning, and I think he had some health challenges, and so he had to kind of take a break. And that's when Brother Creasine came on board. And just think, just Vance, Creasine, and Harrington.
Mhm.
Just think with Harrington, the type of food we had, right? And then with all the others, you got Creasine and Vance. Just think of the type of spiritual food we had.
Yeah, no kidding. Just giants. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
so no, those were I learned so much from them, and they were the real bishops. These guys, the counselors, because I was just having fun, and just moving along, cheering at with always being cheerful and just enjoying the ride. And these guys were the real bishops. They really worked so much hard. And then the elders quorum presidents, they were amazing too. And during that time, I served with Brother Mika, one of the great legends.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, Bishop Olson, who passed away during that time. And Brother Meekum passed away, and these guys were like right serving so diligently and working so hard, and yeah, and I guess they were called to a greater calling, but that was during that time. And these guys, and Sister Meekum was Relief Society president, and Sister Otalano then was Relief Society president. Um, and there were a lot of members who had some challenges, but but they were all working together, I guess, and they were all bishops.
I'll mostly focus on Relief Society, Young Women's, and Primary, I think, because, you know, the Elders Quorum, my counselors and the stake usually spend a lot of time with them. But yeah, we had some really awesome, I'll start with Young Women's because that's probably the funnest part of being in a bishopric, is you get to spend a lot of time with the youth. And so we had Natalia McGonigal. She was amazing. And then we also had Sister Amber Peters, Sister Jenica Curl. Yeah, so really awesome young women's presence that really, a lot of them too were, you know, a lot of them were people that were not serving in presidencies and other things before. That was kind of their first calling in the ward in presidencies. And sometimes I think people were a little surprised, like, oh, they're calling that sister to be the president. And they were just amazing in those callings and were able to just have amazing relationships with the young women and even have a great influence on the young men as well. So that was really, really fantastic. My counselors so far have been Daniel Dunn and
Roberto
Figueroa. They're great to start off with, and then now they've moved on to other callings, and Roberto has moved to Alberta to be kind of near his family. But after them, we had James Olson, who is you,
Oh yeah,
and
I know him.
and Dave Harrington, and those are really good. That was really fun because very different personalities. James was always like, let's try this idea, which was maybe somebody for a calling that nobody would think of, but James would think of it, and David would, you know, be very good at picking all the holes in that calling, and then we'd pray about it and see, and, you know, very much very different personalities and approaches to things. And so I was usually, I'm kind of like the centrist between them, and that was really good because Roberto and Daniel really agreed on a lot of things, and so there was not a lot of debate or other things about these things. And so it really changed a lot and really got counsel from two different areas. And then David Harrington moved to the Okanagan, and so Rajan Cyclosyndicate came, and Rajan's a way different personality as well, has great ideas and insights and super sweet spirit and connects to people really well. So I've been able to learn a lot from the different counselors, and really excited to see what they do as far as callings and things, you know, after this bishopric. Yeah, when I was called, it seemed like Janus was the only remaining bishop left. Like Flavio had moved somewhere else, and Brother Bishop Olson had passed away, and all the other bishops had moved away. And so it was really useful having Janus around, and now it'd be useful, I think, for future bishops to have all these people that have been in bishoprics before to be there to help them. We had a lot of great releases, presence. Sister Viola Meekum was the release president when I was called, and she was long serving, had served as I think a couple times as release president, knew everyone, was an angel and loved everyone. And then the next one was Christina Taylor, and she was amazing in many ways. One thing that she really did was she was able to connect with some of the people that some of the sisters before that were not able to connect with, and help them do things like prepare to go to the temple and progress in those ways. And at that time, we'd had a lot of new members join the church and she was able to help mentor them and help them grow. And then after her was Sister Sebastian Prasad, and she, I think, was someone that brought a lot of unity to the Religious Society and got to bring in the diverse people from different groups. She had a very strong connection with many sisters of the ward, and especially brought in the Hindi speaking sisters and got them much more involved in the ward, and really gained a spirit on how to really help people in the long run. And since then, she's gone on to become a self-reliance specialist because she's so keenly aware of all the needs in the ward. And then most recently, we had Sister Francia Signs, who's just recently been called, and it's been great working with all those Relief Society presidents. Primary, I always love going to primary. I think almost every Sunday you can catch me at least for a few minutes in primary, usually during singing time. And I love going to those singing times with the children. At times my wife has been the singing time leader, which I also like. I get to see her up front singing in her element and love that. But also seeing Sister Verhagen in there, and Sister Megan Harrington, and Sister Dunn, who's the Relief Society president now as well. So, and Sister Bergonio, seeing all those sisters, but especially singing with the children has been amazing. I hope after this calling that I'm in there in primary and get to sing with them every week, and that would be amazing.